Welcome to the show. This is Kenneth Muyingo, and with me, I have a special guest that I will be interviewing. First, I just want to mention if you watch this interview anywhere else besides in the community of become an author and write your first book, we welcome you to join us in the growing community of like minded people who are doing just that, writing books. And with that said, I would like to get into the interview by asking my special guest to say hello to our viewers and listeners and to introduce herself.
I'm very glad to be here, and thanks for the invitation. My name is Malaika Oringo. I live in the Netherlands, in Friesland. I'm a proud Ugandan. I've been living in the Netherlands for quite some time. I think it's coming to 17 years. I'm a mother of a princess. Her name is Sabrina. Married. I think I love advocating and I'm passionate about justice and equality for women. And I'm trying to come up with a balance, also the equality of men, because equality can never be equality when there's no balance of the two genders.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Amazing. That's quite a powerful profile, Malaika. Thank you so much for making time for the interview.
Thank you for the invitation too.
You're welcome. And so indeed, I like that you talk about equality for men as well, because I think it's important. But what I'm curious about, tell us about your story. What inspired you to get on this journey to do what you are doing as far as advocacy is concerned?
Yeah, maybe before I go into that, I'm a founder of a non-government organization called Footprint of Freedom. It's a survivor-led organization that aims at empowering survivors of human trafficking to take the front line in the fight against human trafficking, but at the same time, kind of get engaged in the prevention, the prosecution, the reintegration of victims, actually to be part of the movement.
Yeah.
But also, besides being a CEO or the founder of Footprint of Freedom, and I'm a consultant in the field of anti-human trafficking and gender equality. I work as a trainer, especially in the issues of sex trafficking of children and women, also in general. And also matters related to gender equality, because there's a thin line between gender equality and human trafficking. They're somehow intertwined. You asked me a question where my passion came about.
Yeah.
What is my story? My story is very long, but I think I'm going to take a shortcut. Besides having survived human trafficking as a child, as a young girl, I always felt there's that intuition that come up when you see injustice happening, that you feel, I wish I should do something. I come out from a background of staunch Muslim, but at the same time, I was the other child, where my voice was kind of very restricted. Talk when you're allowed to talk. But besides that, we also grow up in a culture where you really need, of course, it's good to speak with the end in mind, but for your voice to be heard, you should be of a certain status. You should be a son of who, or you should, the validation of your voice comes with a lot of restrictions. And I was one of those kids. And I had this hidden fire in me that I was seeing injustice happening around. And I did not have the right mentors. I did not have the right avenues. Actually, there were no kind of role models that I see that can kind of usher me into speaking up. Before someone speaks up, it takes a lot of courage. I had this desire, but I was a shy girl at the same time. I was more than an observer.
Yeah.
I liked analyzing situations before I speak. But I was really intimidated to speak in public. But I had this story that I wanted to share, but I didn't know how. I didn't have the avenue. I did not have the stage. I did not have the kind of mentors that could usher me, just like what you're doing today. That's why actually I'll take this opportunity to thank you for the work you're doing, for being, I call you the motivation compass of any coming up visionary from any walks of life. And also I like very much that I see a person from my country, but at the same time, I can identify with most of the things you're saying, and seeing possibilities and opportunities where I wouldn't see, because most of us, like going back to the point where I'm saying I was looking for mentorship, we look at motivational or people who should guide you through life. People we see on YouTube, the Oprahs, the first ladies, the ones that have made history, and sometimes the boundaries, or
they're not relatable.
They are not relatable.
Yeah.
I don't know which kind of word, that the wall is too huge.
Yeah. The gap between where you are and where they are is just.
Yes. And then you just feel that you have role models you admire, but you can never be like them.
Yeah.
I always looked for motivational people who I can resonate with. I can see myself in their stories. There's some, of course, there are motivational speakers. I like Michelle Obama because of her powerful energy when she tackles the issues of women.
Yeah.
But years ago, when I used to follow her story, yeah, she was an A student. She went to Harvard. She had all these amazing things that I'm like, okay, imagine I'm somewhere in Imbokolo and I want to be somebody.
Yeah.
And this is my role model. And I really need to go to Harvard to make it.
Yeah.
And this is what I was kind of struggling with.
Yeah.
That the standards of role model were so high.
Yeah.
For me to fit in.
Indeed.
So I am struggling with this story and this energy and this desire, and I always call it my calling, to serve my purpose. I needed a stage, and because there was no one, I created one.
Wow, very powerful.
And then I thought that since I didn't have one, and I've been through this experience, I understand the insecurity, the fears girls go through to speak up about sexual abuse or violence, and let me create the path.
Yeah.
And it takes a lot of strength and not only strength, but
courage.
Yes, courage is the right word.
Yeah.
To be the one to come out of the closet, to be the voice.
Yeah.
I come as one, but I speak as 1,000. But then I take all their shame and stigma upon me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was thinking, if I have to create that stage, I need to build a platform, but only I need to build a foundation where I've earned where I am. That when I speak about my experience, a girl who is somewhere in Uganda, in Kenya, or Nigeria, and I share my story, she can say, I can be that. I see the opportunity or the possibilities in her that I can see myself in. For this reason, I created Footprint to Freedom. And I used part of my time to volunteer online and also here in the Netherlands to mentor and coach women who are out of exploitation.
Yeah.
Focusing mainly women who are who want to exit prostitution.
Yeah.
There's there are barriers, there's shame, there's stigma, and there's lack of relatable people or sometimes culture awareness.
Yeah.
And I try to hold a hand into their healing journey, and working with other survivors from different kind of traumatic experience to kind of build a life of resiliency, but at the same time work with faith and courage. And I always look at life as an experience where whenever you go down and go through these experiences, it's not only an opportunity to learn or to make you grow stronger, but also to redefine your life.
Yeah. You
can use it in a positive way. You can turn that wound into wisdom to help others. You can turn it to harm others, or you can be hold it to yourself. But I encourage them to embrace it, give it a place in their heart, and reclaim their stolen dreams, their stolen lives, to kind of strive.
Wow. Yeah. Very powerful indeed. Thank you so much. This is the kind of work that people do, and then they, at the end of the day, they lay their head down and they can sleep with a smile and say, I impacted someone's life today.
Yeah.
Wow, this is amazing. Thank you so much for sharing about Footprint to Freedom and the wonderful work you're doing. It's we'll be talking about more about how people can connect with you as far as that is concerned. But you shared some great value there, most especially, I mean, about mentors. I can totally relate with you. One of the reasons that inspires me to do the things that I do is because I looked for people that I could relate to when I was just trying to figure my life out, and I couldn't find them. The ones that I could find were way above my reach. They were way out of my league. They were not relatable to me, like you're sharing. And it inspired me. I felt I would have needed to have someone to hold my hand and let me know that it's going to be okay, but also to tell me their story and for me to be able to see myself in theirs. And I think you are doing that in a very powerful way. Yeah, you mentioned about human trafficking and helping women who are recovering or who have made the decision to exit prostitution and to try to live normally. I think this is very empowering indeed, and thank you so much for doing that. What would you say are some of the challenges that you face in your work that you are currently doing in Footprint to Freedom?
Well, I think, to be specific, the lack of support and the lack of agency from the people who are impacted by human trafficking. You know, human trafficking is looked as something that is supposed to be a secret, like something to be ashamed of. I've been working in the West, like lobbying in the European Parliament. I'm on advisory board for the World Council of Salvation Army on issues related to human trafficking. But after time, I said I need to go back home and sensitize my brothers and sisters about human trafficking, because to them, human trafficking is an opportunity of a lifetime, just like it happened to me. So sharing this message, you become like a prophet of doom, like you're just hindering people's opportunity, because the methodology that we're using here to raise awareness is clear, because the economical hindrances that these people face make it easy to reach them, to share this information, but also refer them to somewhere. coming up with this human trafficking, the challenge is sharing the message, but you need to have an alternative. If you do not want me to go to the Middle East, what should I do?
Exactly.
Because the major problem with human trafficking in all over the world, actually, there's no country in the world that is not touched by human trafficking.
Yeah.
But when it comes to our countries, it's not legislated, there's impunity, there's no support system, and also the major pimp or the major root cause for this is poverty. And I cannot be a person who's going to solve the poverty.
Yeah.
Like, I wanted to tackle the knowledge, awareness, that when you're conscious, you understand your rights, you understand that once you give your passport before you leave Oman, you're already given up your rights.
Yeah.
Maybe lecturing them about before migration training, what should be the right measures, numbers to call. And when I come up with that information, the numbers to call, for example, in Saudi, the embassy, they do not pick up the phone calls. No. Then I'm in between giving this message to help these women, prevent them from becoming preyed upon by human trafficking. But the whole organizations, stakeholders, and the government surrounding it are not in support, or they are in support, but they are very reluctant. Actually, there are more urgent problems in their mind than human trafficking. So the challenge is being supported by the government, and also people who are in positions, for example, the police, being able to have a better communication. Of course, I'm trying to build better cooperation, because without cooperation among different stakeholders, we cannot reach people. But I find it that it's very hard to reach the people without giving them an alternative. And then it requires me to have a lot of resources, a lot of budget to say, well, this is the problem, you shouldn't go to Oman, or these are the steps you have to take, but maybe this is a solution. Instead of going abroad, I give you an alternative seed foundation like microfinance and stuff like that.
Exactly.
So I need to come up with enough fundings to do awareness raising with an alternative, and to also to kind of meet the urgent need of these target groups at risk. Another thing that I find a challenge is the behaviors and the culture that kind of enhances exploitation. We're all born, for example, in Uganda, where this clustering people in classes made it easier. We already know that a house girl has to work 24 hours. Some of them don't have to be paid. They're being beaten, and you just, anyway, she's an house girl, because this is what we've grown up to see. Decent work begins at home, but we have this culture that demeans people, which makes it very difficult even for the victim to identify themselves as victim, because the society takes it to be as normal. So reaching out to that victim to tell them that you're a victim, say, my friend, I don't understand what you're talking about. I'm just an house girl, I'm a maid, or I'm an orphan. So the cultures that have kind of normalized exploitation has made it very difficult for women to come up and speak up about their atrocities. And most of the people these days who are trafficked, they are trafficked by relatives. Which brings a bit of power distance. If the auntie who sold you, you have to think about the shame that is going to bring into the family. And it makes a conflict of interest between the person you want to serve and you who is bringing the services. And there's a big issue of poverty. As we all know, the major issue of human trafficking is having no choice.
Yeah.
The economic burden that comes to different people. Of recent, I landed on an article that Uganda, since the stopping of slavery in the 1900s, that we have a market in Uganda in the north that sells girls. It's open and everyone knows about it. So I wanted to follow up that story saying, how can we having an open market where girls are sold actually for $14 that side of Karamoja and Gulu?
In Uganda?
Yes, in Uganda.
Oh my goodness.
And they sell babies also, and there's an age group from 0 months, 1 month to 14. And I was curious, I'm being a mother, why should a mother sell their children?
Yeah.
And which kind of system do we have that make this possible, that the market has been existing for years, that it has not been brought out in the open for people to know about this? Yeah. Where are these girls sold to?
Who is buying them, exactly?
Who is buying them? It came to my understanding that all these kids that we were seeing on the street thinking that maybe their parents are put there for street begging. These are for street begging. They are bought by some gangs. Actually, they stay around and in those slums around. They buy these girls, and in the morning they put them on the street, and in the evening they come and collect their money. What is obnoxious is that they also buy a baby. So anytime you see that young girl with a baby of 2 months, yeah, we're thinking that the mother is hiding somewhere. That baby was bought because it creates sympathy for you to give money. So then it comes to my question, which kind of society are we living in where the selling and buying of human beings is normalized? I've grown up seeing these people on the street. I thought because of war and poverty and coming from...
That's what I thought as well.
Yes. But then lack of interest from the societies, like people like me and you and others, to ask the why, yeah, to be curious. I stumbled upon this article, and I had to write to the person who wrote the article, and sent me different links and videos. I could not believe that this has been happening since we were young, actually. So my question was, before we point a finger, because the article was all about the mothers selling their children and stuff like that, I wanted the why part, because that's where my work is that I look at the root cause of why people end up in exploitation, because without tackling the root cause, we are only going to deal with
effects and not solve the problem.
Solve the problem. But then it was that one, they do not have family planning, so they have a lot of children and they cannot feed them. Yeah. And sometimes they, because they're nomads, they keep on moving on the move. Sometimes they just have to leave these kids behind to die because they don't have food to feed them. So for them, thinking that someone from Kampala is going to buy the child, yeah, is thinking is better than dying here, actually. Yeah. Yeah. And then my future project is working with those women and the government to come up with a solution. Instead of us sitting back and pointing at these parents, we need to understand what is going on and how can we step in.
Yeah.
I've just got a video from Saudi Arabia. There are 60 women stuck since, I think, since January. They've been detained and they've been in prison and they want to go back home. But because their passports have been held by their so-called employees,
Yeah.
most of the thing I hear when I share these videos are these people deaf. They've been telling them about these dangers every day.
Yeah.
And where do they go anyway?
Yeah.
So when we tackle this issue with victim blaming, it makes it very hard for us to solve the problem.
Yeah.
Because I receive these videos every day.
Yeah.
And then I realized raising awareness about not going to the Middle East is not enough.
Yeah.
There's something missing. We need to think contextual to the reason why these women keep on moving.
Yeah.
And I came up with an idea that in order for them actually we need to come up with a way how we can make Uganda great again. Let me use that term. Looking for alternative within our own countries.
Indeed.
At the same time, creating better pathways to migration, like talking to the embassies, talking to the government officials, labor organizations, to come up with better ways on how these women can migrate safely, but that it cannot constitute the need of women. We need to create jobs. We need to create possibilities back home. So we started up an empowerment center. The empowerment center is skill building, entrepreneurial skills, kind of finding the possibilities where we think it's impossible within our countries, to kind of limit the chances of these women being exploited. So coming back to the challenge, that is the challenge, is that the level of poverty makes it difficult for the message to be taken. As we know, an empty stomach doesn't have ears. You can talk all you want. And I need to expand my resources besides knowledge sharing to have tangible solutions. Kind of to help these women, to kind of come up with business models, getting them scholarships to go to school, and also working with the government to find a way of changing this culture. I've also heard that now these days, once you finish senior 6, most girls is like, you have to look for a job. When we were growing up, we knew that I need to grow up and study and get a job and get married. But it seems the partners change somehow, that the urgent need that kids have become the source of income for the family. Because it's hard that girls are stepping out of school to go abroad to look for money. And those who have gone already, who are a bit older, who are leaving the university, it has changed the whole dynamic of family. Children are being left behind. There is also an increase of the spread of HIV because of these women going away for quite some time, and men getting other women, and these women coming from the Middle East, having been there for quite some time, they get indulged into sexual with their partner. And there's been research that has been going on that this might prevent the hike of HIV and AIDS among migrant workers who have been abroad. And these are the things that we have to be sensitizing our brothers and sisters. But until we find a better alternative to kind of match the awareness, it's going to be hard.
Wow. Wow, that is profound indeed, and very well said. The aspect of just there not being a practical alternative, I think if the challenge is poverty, and there is a lack of knowledge, that a knowledge gap in a way that is missing between where someone is and where they want to be. And then this opportunity is presented to them, and it's just what they are being shown, and there is no practical alternative, then just makes it hard for them not to fall victims of that. But I just want to take this opportunity, I don't know if you're up to it, for you to speak to two categories of people. You mentioned about the people who end up falling as victims. If somebody is watching this interview, wherever they are, and they are contemplating making a decision that is going to lead them into the path of ending up as a victim of human trafficking, I want you to speak to that person right now. And then the second person that I want you to speak to is the people in government, stakeholders, the people that have the support, that are in the places of decision making and influence, to just speak to these two people about what you feel is in your heart right now about this.
For those who are thinking of looking for jobs abroad, one thing I want to advise you is that search for information in the right way. There's a lot of biased information out there, and that is the reason why people end up going abroad, because the biased information out there is much more than the truth, actually. There's a lot of message going around that once you go abroad, you're going to get make much money. Of course, it's also about luck, and also about meeting the right people. You need to, if you want to travel, you need to find the information that you need that is going to help you, but you need to find it in the right channel. On internet in Uganda, there are organizations and travel agencies that are genuine, that can give you directions on how to find jobs in the Middle East or outside the Middle East. Secondly, anytime that you have to get a job and they have to take your passport, that is already bondage, because you, by law or anywhere in the world, it doesn't matter where you are, you're supposed to have your passport on you. And one thing I realized that when you get a job that is going to require you not to pay anything, because this is what is happening, and that is how they coerce you into going for these jobs. This is you landing into a debit bondage. Because anything that is good, too good to be true, is not true. Imagine I'm sitting there, someone is buying my ticket, is buying, getting me a passport, is doing everything, and it's not even my parent. Even in the West here, it can never happen. So there's a catch. You need to understand that you have to pay that money back, but not only paying that money back, you cannot measure, better calculate that I invested 3,000 to go to Iman. What duration of time am I paying, and when am I getting back my money? There is also working, find the right banks. The banks are now working with people working in the Middle East to help you save your money. A lot of you who are going to the Middle East have been sending money to relatives or your husbands or your boyfriends, and you've realized that you've been cheated. You need, before you leave, you need to open up a savings account written in your names, and you send money into your bank account. We are going to, it's going to help you eliminate this problem of family members stealing all your money when you are abroad. There's an issue of the contracts. Most of these contracts are in Arabic. Never sign something you do not understand. The organizations in Kampala, Footprint is also going to open up a center where you can come up with questions like that. What does this contract say? Most of the time you sell out your rights yourselves, but because you did not understand the content of what is in in the contract form. And lastly, we need to have a bit of patience. We've been raised to rush. I can't call it get rich quick, or finding possibility without taking our time.
Yeah.
I made that mistake that actually I was promised to be taken to school, which did not happen. But because the school looked more attractive than the ones I had home, we should try to think, I need to take a step back and try to create a foundation where I am, for example, in Uganda, wherever you are. And before I make sure that I travel, I understand the rules and regulations, I've got the right documents. And at the same time, I've not been convinced by somebody who claims to say that everything is good out there, you just need to step up and come. Because once you come in these countries, these are people who are going to ignore you. I've realized a lot of people have been telling, come abroad, come. And they cannot even house you into their house for 1 week. Be careful with the choices you have to make. Because remember, at the end of the day, you are your own rescue. So if the choices we do, actually the choices we make, we become those choices. You need to step back and make sure that you're making a wise decision, not in duress or not in desperation. You take your time to meet the right people, to give you the right information, to use the right channel. And to the government. Human trafficking is not happening in a vacuum. It's happening amidst legal frameworks that do not support victims, or that has made a playing ground for people to exploit people without accountability. We need laws that prosecute those people who traffic women and men. And we need to say accountability. Without seeing that accountability, people are not going to speak up. And it's going to be very hard for trafficking to stop if the governments are not enforcing prosecution. Because the number today, the percentage of people who are prosecuted in the world today are decimal to people who are trafficked every day. And also, the government needs to look into the position of children. Although the position of children is left in the hands of the parents, but they are these vulnerable children. Of recent, we're seeing street children, children in orphanages are being trafficked day and out. And in every 3 minutes, a child is being trafficked. We need more protection laws that look at these kids' interests. At the same time, also support victims who have been experiencing this sort of exploitation to have mental health care. One thing that has been ignored in the African context in politics is funding the mental health rehabilitation of survivors. Because we have this mentality that yeah, it happens, you need to collect yourself and move on. But the scars, that invisible wounds that come with the exploitation, time alone cannot heal them, and especially to a child.
Indeed.
We need more partnership between corporation, the government, and NGOs to come up with more integration support mechanism for people coming back to the Middle East, for people coming up from different forms of exploitation. Because without this reintegration support, the cycle of people being re-trafficked keeps going on. They come back home, they are rejected by their families because they didn't bring money. The government has nothing to support them. Then they are looking for the next destination to go to. And avoid the route going through Libya and going through the desert. There are a lot of women and girls and men have been dying taking that road. I know that people are desperate, but you really need to understand the gravity of this problem, that there are people ready to take advantage of your vulnerability. There's an issue where now a lot of migrant people coming to the West, like to Europe, have been losing their organs, like organ trafficking.
Yeah.
Is now on the loop where people are just needing hearts and kidneys.
Yeah.
And I've also heard that people are too desperate to move from one point to another, that you have to sell your kidney in Libya for you to get 4,000 euros to be able to fast. Actually, you don't even use it for treatment. You use it to pay somebody who's going to take you through the boat and walk through the desert and find yourself in Greece. Most people end up dying because they've, how can exchange for travel, and then they give one organ.
Yeah.
Sharing organs without better medical treatment, and also having a better environment for you to heal. Of course, you're going to die. You cannot give a kidney in Libya and then the next 1 month you're in the boat going to Greece and you think that your body can contain that.
Yeah.
So take this information serious. The government need to protect, prevent, and work not only within the international framework, but also train the law enforcement. They are not trauma informed. They are very rude and arrogant. A victim comes to report their case, and actually a victim becomes a victim before the eyes of the law.
Yeah.
If they do not get the right training on how to approach a person who has gone through this experience, women, and especially women who have gone through sexual exploitation, they don't dare to report. And the only way that human trafficking has been able to flourish in plain sight is because of the silence.
Yeah.
So if we need women and victims to speak up, we need government support. We need a community that is ready to support and not to stigmatize the victims. We need law enforcement that are trauma-informed, that are culturally informed and victim-centered.
Yeah.
And we need service providers that are professional enough to handle the psychological, economical, and the spiritual mental state of victims. Without this, raising awareness is wasting time. It just works. It only works as we work in partnership with the church, with schools, but also as a community.
Yeah.
Because there is a slogan that says that, I always say that don't say I didn't tell you.
Yeah.
It's your choice to turn the blind eye, because the majority of people fall into exploitation, and we know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not my child, it's from Gulu, actually it's white, it's black, or it's Somali. Yeah. We are divided on the issue of why this should be a zero tolerance attitude.
Yeah.
That you report the signs, learn the signs and indicators, join and support people in this cause. And it needs to be a Me Too movement of those ones, even who have not experienced it, but who says, no, this is the 25th century, we do not have space for slaves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Very powerful. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I just like the way you said it. If it sounds like it's too good to be true, it probably is too good to be true.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the choices that we make us.
Yeah.
We make the choices, and then these choices shape us. Thank you so much. This is very valuable information, and that is for you. If you are watching, if you are thinking about making these decisions, that is information for you to consider. And also, if you're watching this and you're in a position of power that you can make decisions and influence this, that information was directed to you. Thank you so much, Malaika. And
Thank you
on
too.
a personal side, I mean, you are doing very wonderful work. And I'm just curious, how do you stay inspired yourself?
What inspires me is actually seeing the results of my work.
Wow.
Seeing another girl being able to make a different choice.
Yeah.
Seeing a person through my organization, or when I received a call that made a right decision, that I'm part of the solution, that
Yeah.
I'm part of something that is not only helping me directly or a relative, but is being able to change something that I believe passionately is not supposed to exist.
Yeah.
So it's all about the inner passion, but at the same time seeing the results. That I feed on recovery. I feed on seeing another girl stand up. I feed on seeing, like feeding on how my energy has transformed somebody to become better, to make better choices, and even to be in the stage where I can never be myself.
Yeah.
These
Wow.
micro steps that I do every day, receiving the call or just mentioning a few things, just being part of someone's journey to victory inspires me a lot.
Very powerful indeed. And I mean, we could just go on and on and on. I'm just loving this so much. It's amazing. And I'm just very glad that we made time to have this interview and share this, because I think the world needs to hear this loud and clear. It's very important, because this is a topic that is, I think I mean, it touches directly onto human life. And thank you so much. I just want to acknowledge you for the wonderful work that you're doing and for saying yes to this mission, because sometimes when people think about stepping out boldly to do the things that they've been given to do, they feel overwhelmed because they feel it's too big. I can't handle it. I just can't. When I look at where it's going to go, it's just overwhelming. But thank you so much, and I just want to acknowledge you for doing the work that you're doing.
Thank you too for the work you're doing, giving a platform and a stage for people, visionaries like us.
You're
And
welcome.
maybe one last reminder to everyone. Sometimes we think human trafficking is for the privileged, for the unprivileged, like it's far from my home. It's right in our backyard. And if it does not come around today, you have to be very, very careful, because what I realized that people in the West, they say, when will I go to the Middle East? But there's oncoming epidemic of children being sexually exploited online.
Yeah.
From the age of 2 to above due to the pandemic. The TikTok, the WhatsApp, and all the Instagram that these children have been lured into. Oh, it is a lifestyle, actually. We cannot avoid it.
Yeah.
But then we need to think that human trafficking or exploitation of children is not far. It's also within our homes. You need to check your children's gadgets. There is a new exploitation app. It's called Calculator. It looks like a calculator. When a kid clicks on it, they're a pedophile looking for luring kids to send naked pictures. So you have to be very, very careful and observant. Online sexual exploitation has blossomed And because everything now is happening online, games and we are working at the same time. The locked-up has put the kids to be more online.
Yeah.
You need to look at yourself in your home to check the gadgets, be be the pilot when it comes to checking what is happening.
Yeah.
And at the same time, let us look at this phenomenon or pandemic of human trafficking not as something that is far. It can happen to you. And if it cannot happen to you, you need to handle it with sympathy.
Yeah. Wow.
And non-tolerance, because with that attitude is going to be something far distant from our homes. And then they say, that's not my problem.
Yeah.
So that's a call to action. We are all part of the problem, but the good news, we are all part of the solution. Do your thing, I do mine.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Wow. If somebody's watching this interview and they would like to contact you, what's the best way for them to reach you?
Yeah, you can contact me through our website, footprinttofreedom.org, but I'm also on Instagram, it's Malaika Consultancy, and on Facebook is Malaika Footprint to Freedom. Once you type Footprint to Freedom, you'll find me anywhere. And I'm available to answer your question, partner with you, clear out some queries you have, give mentorship, consultancy, review policies and programs, train you. I'm also all available for those services.
Wow, very nice.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you would like to share that we have not been able to address in the interview?
No, I think we've exhausted everything. Wow. When it comes to this, I'm so passionate about social justice and the position of women. I think we'll need a seminar of a month. But for now, I think this should be a stepping stone for further discussion. I'm a free person who walks flexible into other areas when it comes to understanding the role of women, or the role of men, women in business, motherhood, cooking, or wherever. So for now, I'll leave you guys with this. But if you need more information, you know where to contact me.
Very nice. We'll put the links with the interview so that people can contact you and continue the conversation. I would like to send you a copy of my book, Opening Up, as a way to say thank you for making time for this wonderful interview. I will get the details later on from you. Have a good evening and God bless you.
Have a good evening, and it has been a pleasure having this conversation.
Thank you.